Hi, my name is Sue Westerveld Enright, and I will be speaking for my husband Bob and myself. I want to thank the Tempe Buffalo Foundation board members for the recognition you have bestowed on us when so very many of Tempe High alumni are deserving of this honor. For those of you listening to this, it is a hard thing to do. We are supposed to tell something about ourselves, what Tempe High means to us, and what we have done with our lives. How does one do this without sounding like one is bragging? And how do you cover 80 years and 79 years of these parts of your life in 4 minutes? I get 8 because I'm doing it for both Bob and I. So, Bob and I were both in the class of 1956. We attended 1 year at the old high school on Mill and 8th, now University, and started our sophomore year at the current Tempe High, not because of the old school burned down, that happened after the move, but because Tempe was growing so fast. Interesting note here. The school board and the city council were very concerned about building the school so far from the center of town. At that time, there was one high school with about 700 students and a population of about 8,000. We grew up in a small town, and it was wonderful. Bob has now had 7 generations of his family live in Tempe, and I have had 6. He attended Tempe Grammar, and I, Our Lady of Mount Carmel Catholic School. We met when we were freshmen. Bob lettered in 4 sports and was selected to be in the Tempe High Sports Hall of Fame. In his senior year, he was all-conference and all-state. He was a quarterback. He was also in the Letterman's Club, and he was secretary-treasurer of that club. In the 1955-56 season, we won 8 and lost 2 games. At one time, he was playing baseball, and in between innings, he would run over to the track field for an event and back to the baseball field. Vita Bernard, our librarian, once told me she thought he had read every book in the library. I used to get our lit book at the start of the year and read it through in the first few weeks, probably why I ended up being a librarian for 22 years. I was into dance and music and planning parties. Bob was a very quiet person in high school. One of our mutual friends said he walked to school every day for 4 years with Bob, and he barely said a word. I am known for being very loquacious. Total opposites except in ethics, values, both voracious readers, and we have an abiding love for our town and its history. We have now been married for over 56 and a half years. We have 4 daughters, beloved, beautiful, smart, and wonderfully good human beings. We have 6 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. I love Tempe High. Couldn't wait to get to school. It was just so great. Our teachers, the administration, and the staff were all so good to us. So many wonderful friends that I still love today. My involvement at Tempe High. I chaired an all-school talent show my freshman year, chaired a New Year's Eve dance, glee club, secretary of the Latin Club, National Honor Society, student board of supervisors, student council, thespian president, junior and senior plays. I was chosen to get the kids together for our class reunions at our last class meeting. So far, I have done about 20 of them, including 2 fabulous 50s with all members of those classes invited, and a number of grade school reunions, too. Great fun. Bob attended several seminars and training sessions on law enforcement and management and attended Central Missouri National Traffic Management School for a semester. I attended school at St. Mary's at Notre Dame my freshman year, next the University of Vienna in Austria for a year, and I received a BA and an MA from Arizona State University. The family joke is that I was kicked out of St. Mary's, but that's not true. Bobby was in Tempe, not Notre Dame. Why Bobby and I got into public service. For him, being a police officer for 21 years was a career of public service. At age 29, after being elected the first president of the Tempe Historical Society, he petitioned the city council to give us some space in the then new library for a museum. This is what he said at the groundbreaking ceremony. And I quote, "Man, or man-like animals, have lived on this earth for more than 1,000,000 years. Anatomy will distinguish man from other animals. It is his culture which makes him human. Culture, the act of developing, discipline, education. Man learns from what has passed. He learns from his mistakes. To learn, he must keep a record of his life. This ceremony is symbolic of man's culture. It is visible evidence of the humanness of mankind. Today he builds for the rewards of tomorrow. Many people can give thanks for this cultural center and museum, but those who will receive the most benefit are our children and our children's children. I think I can speak for them too," unquote. Bob initiated the process for obtaining the Hackett House, the Peterson House, and the Pink or Eisendrath House for preservation. He helped with the police exhibit for the museum. Together we worked with the Tempe Old Settlers to acquire photos of early Tempe. I probably got into public service because my grandmother told me stories about our relatives who served the public. One, a colonial governor of Connecticut, one, a mayor of New York during the Civil War, the Secretary of Navy in Lincoln's cabinet, etc. And my dad, serving his country in World War II. He served our state, our town, the Arizona National Guard, and Arizona State College/ASU, and he served in so many capacities. That gave me the impression that that was what one does. Our mom and the nuns taught us that we should share and help others. I was president of our very small grade school. In 1953, my sophomore year, the city asked Tempe High to select 3 students to represent Tempe for TAPS, which meant Teens Against Polio. One of our classmates died from polio. My cousin was in an iron lung. My dad, a physician, gave polio shots at the high school. It was an epidemic. I was one of the 3 selected. We met with students from around the state, and in Tempe, we raised money and awareness by knocking on doors and by stopping cars by standing in the middle of the Mill Avenue Bridge asking for change for the cause. Debbie Reynolds was the national chairman. Tempe High encouraged leadership in so many different ways. Because of our love for Tempe, Bob and I attended the first Tempe Historical Society meeting where Bob was asked to run for president. Over the years, I was a membership chairman, historian, co-chaired the first oral history program, and on the board, as was Bob. After that, in 1970, we ended up on the board of directors and the executive committees for Tempe's 1971 centennial celebration. Bob and I were in charge of the 11 days, special events, historical picture displays, school participation, etc. We had over 500 people on our committees. They did such a great job. It was such a wonderful thing for Tempe and so very much fun. I served on the MAG, Maricopa Association of Governments Bicentennial Committee, helped to bring the Freedom Train to Tempe. I nominated and successfully had Our Lady of Mount Carmel named a National Historic Site, and I co-chaired with the J.C.'s a town barbecue at the Peterson House. We were active in keeping the freeway out of Papico Park and keeping the Opry House out of Tempe Beach Park. We have helped on numerous displays at the museum. In 2003, we put together a slideshow and memorabilia for Our Lady of Mount Carmel's centennial, and in 2007, we did the same for Tempe High's centennial. I was honored to be